Have you ever been told you're too sensitive, like it's a weakness to feel deeply? Welcome to Brainy Empath, where we flip that idea on its head. Because sensitivity isn't weakness. For Sigma Empaths, it's pure strength. In a world that often rewards cold ambition and emotional numbness, Sigma Empaths stand out, not because they're loud, but because they feel everything and still rise. They walk through life absorbing energy, sensing truth behind people's words, and carrying a kind of quiet wisdom that others can't quite explain. But here's what most people miss. Behind that soft heart is a spine of steel. Sigma Empaths don't get lost in their emotions. They own them. They process pain, learn from it, and come back even stronger. While others avoid discomfort, Sigma Empaths go deep, and that's where their true power is born. In today's video, we'll uncover how these rare individuals use their emotional depth not just to survive, but to lead, heal, and transform the world around them. If you've ever felt like your sensitivity makes you different, this is your space. Because here on Brainy Empath, we believe your depth is your greatest gift. Why sensitivity is a superpower for Sigma Empaths. In a world that praises toughness and emotional detachment, sensitivity is often misunderstood. But for Sigma Empaths, it's not just a trait, it's a superpower. Think of Maya, a Sigma Empath who walks into a room and instantly feels the emotional undercurrents no one else notices. She picks up on someone's forced smile, the tension in another's voice, or the sadness behind someone's eyes, even when everything looks fine on the surface. This isn't magic, it's emotional intelligence on another level. While others are reacting to what's loud and obvious, Sigma Empaths respond to what's silent and true. Their sensitivity helps them connect deeply, understand people effortlessly, and sense danger before it strikes. It's like having emotional X-ray vision. But what makes it even more powerful? Sigma Empaths aren't overwhelmed by their gift. Unlike traditional empaths, they've learned how to protect their energy. They know when to lean in and when to step back. That's where the Sigma part shines through. Independent, grounded, and quietly aware. In a world full of noise and fake smiles, Sigma Empaths offer something rare: truth, depth, and connection. Their sensitivity doesn't make them weak, it makes them unstoppable, because they lead with both their heart and their insight. How Sigma Empaths turn pain into purpose. For most people, pain is something to escape. But for Sigma Empaths, pain becomes a doorway, a path to purpose, growth, and transformation. Take Eli, a Sigma Empath who grew up feeling deeply misunderstood. His sensitivity was mocked, his emotions dismissed. He went through heartbreak, betrayal, and the kind of loneliness only deep feelers truly know. But instead of becoming bitter, he chose to listen to the pain. He didn't run from it, he studied it. That's what makes Sigma Empaths different. They don't numb themselves to survive, they dive inward. They ask hard questions. Why did this hurt me? What does it teach me about myself? How can I use this to help others? And in those moments, pain transforms into wisdom. Through this process, they begin to create meaning from suffering. Some become healers, some become artists, some simply live in a way that inspires others without ever trying to. Sigma Empaths understand something powerful. Pain has a message, and when you don't ignore it, it can become your greatest teacher. They don't let their wounds define them, they let them shape something beautiful. That's how they take what tried to break them and turn it into a reason to rise. The balance between logic and deep emotion. Sigma Empaths are walking contradictions in the best way possible. They feel everything deeply, Yet they think with incredible clarity. It's this rare balance between emotion and logic that sets them apart. Take Jordan, a Sigma empath and quiet strategist. When his best friend betrayed him, he didn't explode in anger or sink into self-pity. He felt the pain, yes, but then he stepped back. He asked himself, why did this happen? What patterns did I miss? How do I protect myself without shutting down? That's the gift of the Sigma empath. While most people swing between being overly emotional or completely detached, Sigma empaths blend both worlds. Their heart leads them to truth, but their mind helps them navigate it with strength. They don't let their feelings cloud their judgment, but they don't suppress them either. They honor their emotions, process them, and then act with intention. This makes them powerful decision makers, deep listeners, and natural leaders in emotional chaos. In a world that tells you to just toughen up or stop overthinking, Sigma empaths remind us that real strength is balance. When logic and deep emotion work together, you don't just react, you respond with power, wisdom, and grace. Why Sigma empaths don't let the world define their worth. From an early age, Sigma empaths feel out of place in a world that rewards conformity. They're told they're too quiet, too emotional, too different. But instead of changing who they are, they learn to define their worth on their own terms. Take Layla, a Sigma empath who never fit in with the crowd. While others chased popularity or followed trends, she chose silence, creativity, and truth. Teachers overlooked her, peers misunderstood her, but deep inside, she knew something. Her value wasn't determined by how loud she was. It was rooted in how authentic she was. That's the quiet revolution of a Sigma empath. They don't need applause to feel worthy. They don't need to blend in to feel whole. Their self-worth isn't something the world gives. It's something they build in solitude, through reflection, through resilience, through radical self-acceptance. So when someone tries to question their value or label them as too sensitive or too intense, Sigma empaths don't collapse. They smile, nod, and keep moving. Because they know the truth. Your worth isn't measured by who understands you, it's measured by how deeply you understand yourself. And that's a truth no one can take from a Sigma empath. How solitude helps Sigma empaths recharge and regain clarity. For Sigma empaths, solitude isn't just a preference, it's a lifeline. Imagine Noah, a Sigma empath who spends most of his day absorbing the world around him. People's energy, moods, unspoken emotions. By evening, he's emotionally exhausted, even if he hasn't said a word. But instead of forcing himself to socialize or pretend he's fine, Noah does something powerful. He disconnects. He turns off his phone, takes a walk in nature, or sits in quiet reflection. And in that stillness, something incredible happens. His thoughts settle, his heart slows. He can finally hear himself again. Unlike others who see solitude as isolation, Sigma empaths see it as returning home. It's where they recharge, clear out the noise, and sort through what's truly theirs and what they've absorbed from others. In solitude, Sigma empaths process emotions, regain clarity, and strengthen their boundaries. It's where confusion becomes understanding and overwhelm becomes peace. The world might call it pulling away, but for Sigma empaths, it's how they stay aligned with their truth. Because to keep giving their light to others, they need time to reignite it within themselves. Solitude isn't escape, it's how Sigma empaths come back stronger, wiser, and more centered than ever. Using empathy as a tool for inner strength, not weakness. Empathy is often mistaken for softness or weakness, but Sigma empaths prove otherwise. They use empathy not to be controlled, but to take control of their own emotional power. Take Aria, a Sigma empath who used to feel overwhelmed by other people's pain. She'd cry when others cried, carry their burdens, and lose herself in trying to fix everyone. It drained her until one day she realized empathy doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. It means understanding others without losing yourself in the process. Sigma empaths feel deeply, yes, but they also observe. They listen without absorbing, care without crumbling, and love without losing themselves. Their empathy isn't blind, it's wise. It allows them to read people, sense hidden motives, and navigate emotional situations with clarity. That's the shift. Empathy becomes a tool, not a trap. While the world tries to take advantage of the deeply feeling, Sigma empaths quietly stand their ground. They know where their energy ends and someone else's begins. They give compassion, but only from a full cup. True strength isn't about shutting down feelings, it's about mastering them. And Sigma empaths remind us that empathy, when paired with boundaries and self awareness, is one of the strongest forces on Earth. Why Sigma empaths are resilient in a world that overwhelms them. The world can be loud, chaotic, and emotionally exhausting, especially for someone who feels everything. But Sigma empaths don't break under the weight of it all. They bend, pause, reflect, and then rise, stronger than before. Take Amir, a Sigma empath, who works in a high-pressure environment. Every day, he's bombarded with noise, people's emotions, expectations, and stress. It wears most people down. But Amir, he knows how to pull back. He steps into silence, regathers himself, and re-enters with clarity. What makes Sigma empaths so resilient is their ability to step outside the storm while still caring deeply. They don't numb their emotions, but they don't drown in them either. They've learned how to process pain without becoming it, how to listen to their inner voice even when the world is screaming. Resilience for a Sigma empath isn't about being tough on the outside. It's about being deeply rooted on the inside. They've turned their sensitivity into a compass, their solitude into a sanctuary, and their empathy into quiet strength. Ugh. In a world that often overwhelms, Sigma empaths survive by returning to themselves. And in doing so, they become calm in the chaos. That's what makes them unshakable. How Sigma empaths inspire others without trying to fix them. Sigma empaths have a unique way of impacting lives, not by preaching, not by fixing, but simply by being. Their presence alone inspires others to grow, reflect, and change. Take Zoe, a Sigma empath who's often the quietest person in the room. She doesn't jump in with advice or try to solve people's problems. Instead, she listens, truly listens. She holds space without judgment, and that space alone makes people feel seen, maybe for the first time in their lives. What makes Sigma empaths so powerful is that they never come from a place of superiority. They don't rush to fix others because they understand something deeper. Healing is personal, and growth has to come from within. So instead of controlling, they model, they live in truth, they honor their emotions, they speak with compassion, and they walk away when needed with grace, not resentment. And in doing so, they give others permission to do the same. Sigma empaths teach by example. Their strength isn't loud, but it's unforgettable. They remind people that they don't need to be fixed, they just need to feel safe enough to be themselves. That's the quiet kind of inspiration that leaves a lasting mark. Have you ever felt like your sensitivity was a burden, only to later realize it was your greatest strength? Tell us in the comments what one way your empathy has helped you grow stronger or inspire someone else. Your story could be the message someone else needs to hear today. If this video spoke to your soul, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep, healing content from Brainy Empath. You're not too sensitive. You're exactly as powerful as you're meant to be.